Real quick, you guys watching can see I'm driving a motor vehicle. And I'm going to post this onto YouTube so people will hear what I'm about to say. Don't post messages, don't send me emails and tell me I'm being unsafe. I always do this. By always, I'm saying I always make sure people understand what I'm doing right now, pushing record in a parking lot and then going about my commute and talking to you is no different than you talking to your passenger, you checking your mirrors, you controlling the radio or temperature or any of those other settings. So here's what I want to chat about. I'm not going to pay attention unless I'm at a traffic light to your comments. So if you ask something and I don't answer, send an email to me, training@carrytrainer.com. Here's what I want to talk about. If you read the title, if it popped up, what do you pay attention to? Paying attention. Check out that phrase, paying attention. We say that. Our parents, our school teachers, anybody in authority over us ever in our life, we probably heard from them. Are you paying attention? Pay attention. Well, the reason that you didn't do good is you must have not been paying attention. So that phrase, to pay attention, most of the time makes us think of focusing, right? Of like, pay attention to the road. Why I chose to have this discussion to you while communicating. That's why I chose to have this discussion with you while driving. I wanted to communicate to you because this will become perfectly illustrated. So think about that, to pay attention. Well, when we use the word pay, what do we do when we're paying for something? So you walk into a store and the person says, sir, you owe me XYZ. You open up your wallet, right? You pay for whatever goods or services that you're requiring or desiring. You are trading currency, right? So you are paying for it. Think about this now. I'm going to get to the point real quick. What does that trade-off mean? You are giving something up to get something. So when we pay attention, what are you giving up? You are giving your senses. You are giving up some of your ability to take in information. For example, if I pay attention to this part of the roadway as I'm driving, I am giving up my ability to see and take in stimuli from this side. My attention's here, not here, and vice versa. So you are choosing consciously to trade. I have been quoted as saying awareness is the currency by which we buy time. So if you think about that, I like this analogy of currency because we all understand it, where there's never something for nothing. So here's where the rubber meets the road on this. If we are thinking about awareness in the sense of being safer, you have to choose what's important to pay attention. Just like we all have finite resources. We all only have so much dinero. As such, you have to choose where to spend your money. If you spend all your money on beer and cigarettes and cheeseburgers, you're not going to have any money to pay your rent, right? You're not going to have any money to, thank you, I'm at a stop sign right here, so I took a glance. You're not going to have any money to put gas in your vehicle, to pay your rent or your mortgage or buy your kids' birthday presents. So most of you folks are probably studious in that you don't just shell out all your money to the wrong thing. Why then do you give your attention and your focus things that are not giving you a commensurate benefit in return? Commensurate. Is it of equal value? Are you getting something that was worth the cost? Are you guys tracking with where I'm going with this? Our attention. In essence, what is that? It's our ability to learn new things. You know, when folks say, hey, have you seen, I used to love TV. I like the movies. My wife and I, we like to go to the movies. We don't go often. When I was younger, I'd go maybe once a week to the theater. I enjoyed it. the TVs in our house almost never get turned on, and it's not because I'm too good for television. It's that I've kind of figured out for me, you may love television, but I've figured out for me, when I'm watching most television that's non-educational, that is purely entertainment value, it's not worth my attention. It's not a commensurate trade of my time and my attention. Of course, we need to disconnect sometimes. I'm not telling you that you should always be learning, always growing, always building. That's why I'm saying it's okay. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. There is nothing wrong with unwinding, cutting loose, and letting your brain kind of just disconnect from paying attention. But begin to become aware, all right? This is what's important. Begin to become aware of how you use these finite resources of time, resources of your ability to take in information. Somebody gets in a car wreck, somebody gets sucker punched, somebody gets accosted on the street by a violent criminal actor or person. At some point, you either did not see them, the person that hit you in the car, the person that accosted you on the street, you didn't see them or hear them. Your senses were not able to take in information saying, hey, that car is going to hit me, or hey, that guy's going to run up and hurt me. At some point, you found out. At some point, you got punched in the face. You got stabbed in the gut. You got a gun put in your face, or you felt the collision of cars smacking together. Where was your attention before that happened? Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. You have to choose what to give your attention to. I drive a lot. I mean, I get my oil changed sometimes every week or two. That's how much I drive. I buy sometimes 2 sets of tires a year, and I don't buy junk tires. So I'm telling you, that's how much I'm on the road. As such, I get some cool benefits. One, I get to pay attention to a lot of other drivers, so I get to give my attention to see what other people are doing, what's working for them, what's not working for them. I feel truly blessed that I get to cover the country, to meet cool people, to train, but I'm also very fortunate that I have traversed the country, and I don't feel that I'm going to jinx myself. I've traversed coast to coast, Canada to Mexico numerous times via my trusty Ford trucks, and have never been in a motor vehicle crash. I have been involved in at least a half a dozen collisions in my life. All of them was at a stoplight, and somebody smashed into me because they were not paying attention. They were not seeing what they needed to see when they needed to see it. And that really is the interesting thing. So all of this time I'm traversing the country, I see people. My daughter and I were in West Virginia. We were in the capital of West Virginia the other day. We pulled off the road. It's a beautiful town, and found a restaurant that we were going to eat at. We found a spot to park, and we're walking, and this is a city. This is a state capital, so it's a fairly good sized city. And I'm watching other pedestrians. So when I'm on the street, I shift my focus to vehicles, other people. Vehicles, other people. I don't assume anybody sees me. I also don't assume that everybody around me has got the ability or the wherewithal to hit the brakes or to do what they need to do to not collide with me and my daughter. So I start to shift my focus to things that can hurt me. Pretty simple, right? On that 5 minute, not even 1 minute walk from our parked truck to the diner that we were going to have breakfast in, we watched 3 people cross the road without looking either way, totally trusting that the cars were going to just obey this magic light, this red light, this light that stops vehicles from moving. That's sarcasm, right? People run red lights all the time. 2 of the times that I've been hit was somebody running a red light and just slamming into my stopped car. So you watch this and it makes you think, geez, that person is so fixated on whatever they're doing, looking at their phone, focused on where they're walking, the thoughts in their head, that they don't value their life or their personal safety enough to switch what they're giving attention to. Does this conversation make sense to you guys? Now, to some people, to some people, this conversation is a moot point. Of course, they're going to look around. Of course, they're going to take in whatever information they need to ensure their security and their personal safety. But I tell you what, a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people don't get it. Somebody just wrote, make good use of your time. Well, see, that's the next thing. That's the next stage of this discussion. I love it. So you can use your time and your attention to take in all kinds of data. I can spend my time as I'm driving here. I can see the beautiful cloud formations. I'm driving on country roads. You guys can probably see as we're moving along. Soybean and cornfields that are a beautiful golden hue as autumn is starting to come to our area of northern Illinois here. It's gorgeous. But I also, here's the crux, while I get to take in some of that information, the number one priority is I'm driving multi-thousand pound hunk of steel and plastic here, going 55 miles an hour down the road. So my number one priority is I keep this thing aligned on the roadway. I make sure nothing else comes into my path of travel, and I know the rules of the road where I'm driving. So I see a stop sign or a red light or a merge or some type of signal or signage telling me that I need to do something with my path of travel. I need to heed it, otherwise people are going to get hurt. Check this out, super cool. I'm going to pull over right here where I'm at. This is neat. This little section of road right here. You guys get to see this. This is very, very coincidental and serendipitous based on where I'm at. What year is it? So it would have been 26 years ago. 26 years ago this week, actually. Wow, that's cool, man. 26 years ago this week. That intersection right there, we're on a road, it's pretty busy. You can see I'm motoring along pretty good. I was up in a tree stand deer hunting. Deer season here in Illinois for archery opens up the first week of October. I remember that it was the second week of October because I had so much stuff going on, I barely got any time to sit in this tree stand. As such, I'm about 200 yards off the road back there. And the intersection we just drove through now has a stoplight. Years ago, it was just a stop sign. I was up in that tree stand. It was the golden hour in hunter speak. Sun was just starting to set. The dusk was coming. Animals are starting to move out of the woods. Actually, there was a couple does near me that evening, and I heard a horrific car crash. I watched it happen, but the sound was what struck me. So what had happened was a car ran through the stop sign there. A big SUV, like a mid-90s Suburban, hit I believe it was a Ford Taurus, and that car spun around. All the glass and debris that got on the road caused another car that drove through it to blow its tires out, and that car went off the road going about 60 and tumbled end for end. So this is long before cell phones were prolific like they are now. My friend, who was hunting in a tree stand about 100 yards from me, 50 yards, we could see each other, and we immediately hung our bows up, climbed down, and we took off running. And the interesting thing, the house that I knocked on the door to have them call for police and ambulance, they were annoyed that I was bothering them, and I'm trying to tell them in my teenage voice the car accident had happened. So we ran out onto the road and had the presence of mind to stop cars that were driving so they didn't run through the glass. And I was a Boy Scout, so I had my first aid training, and I couldn't do much. We went to all three cars and kind of assessed them, and the Taurus, the woman was messed up bad. I just told this story in class last week. The back of her head was mush. And the back of her head was mush from a box of glass mason jars that she had in the back seat that came up and smacked her in the noggin. I remember I didn't have anything to do besides I took a chunk of fabric. I believe, if memory serves me, it was a sleeve from like a sweatshirt or something, and I just held it on her head. And her son was in the car. He was a young man, probably 8 or 9, and he was scared to death, sobbing. He thought his mother was going to die because there was a lot of blood. I found out later she did not die, but I didn't know. I mean, the back of her head was mush. It was pretty caved in, so I'm sure there was some prayers involved to keep her alive. The long and the short of it was, that all came down, that day, that story that I get to share with you, all came about because somebody's split-second decision to not pay attention, to not trade the currency of time, the currency of what they were choosing to allow into their sense, their stimulus gathering senses, eyes, ears, right, touch. And it's funny because we especially in a vehicle, we really rely on sight, sound too. Sound can indicate things like somebody honking, right? A passenger saying, Mickey, pay attention. That word comes up a lot. And when you really start to hone in on it, when you really start to think about what all that paying attention means, you start to develop a pattern. And this is what I'm going to bring full circle here. So that story, that could have cost somebody their life, a split-second decision. Split second. I'm blind in this eye because of somebody's split-second decision not to trade, or rather they did trade their focus. They traded what they were paying attention to. It comes up, it flows out of our mouths so easily for something else. And a muzzle of a pellet gun got pointed at my face. Stupid and very costly mistake for everybody involved. So the full circle here, what do you choose to attach attention to? Do you choose to attach that trade-off of what you're going to hand your focus to, what you are going to gather stimulus from? It can be TV. It can be the inner thoughts that swirl about inside of you. You can spend your whole day locked inside your head, and that's the person that's walking across the street in a daze. Who knows? Maybe the guy's girlfriend just dumped him. Maybe he found out a loved one has a terminal illness. That's legit. That happens. But when we start to think about the context of two things, violence, so criminal predation, violence inflicted upon us or other innocent life, when we start to look at of what we choose to pay attention to in the context of that, stopping criminal predation, or the context of just how we go about using up this finite resource of time that we have to give us the best journey, because that's what this life is. It's a journey. So we could go through life safely, right? There's different criteria that we have to attach to our experiences. Some people's idea of a good journey, i.e. a good life, is my brother. He jumps off of cliffs. He flies through the air in wingsuits. He rock climbs up the tallest, sheerest peaks that are on the planet. That's not, in a sense, safe, but to him it's truly living. So you need to define how you want to spend your time, what provides you enjoyment, what provides you a fulfillment. And then you can decide what to shift your focus to. You can decide to shift or what to shift that attention to. You're going to need to learn some things. You're going to need to define more refined goals, right? To decide what do I need to think about, like your education. So like a good guidance counselor in school, they're guiding you to your end goal. So you want to be a dentist. I just left the dentist, had my teeth cleaned. In order to become a dentist, you have to sit down and you plot a path, right? All right, you got to go get a 4-year degree. I'm guessing this is how it works. You got to do good in high school, go get a 4-year degree from university, then get accepted into a dentistry program. And then there's probably a residency, and then eventually you end up going and working in some profession as a dentist, right? Some part of that profession as a dentist, working at a dentist's office, a hospital, or you could go into the military, right? There's these different career paths. So you plot that course. So if one of your goals is, you know what, I want to make it through my life without being a victim of criminal predation, if you spend all your time, check it out, if you spend all your time concerned with or honing the skills of getting better with a gun, getting faster, more accurate, getting better with multiple guns. You start to learn multiple martial arts. You start to learn how to do like dark art stuff, man. You can do like magic where you throw smoke out of your hands, and I'm making stuff up. But if you learn every combative skill under the sun, none of those things make you safer. Somebody can still walk up behind you and take this is my ice pick, and stick it right in the back of your brainstem, and you're dead. So the skill is not so much the application of a tool or the application of force. We have to still decide, okay, one of my goals is to live my whole life without becoming a victim of predation. Got it. What's next? Now I need to learn to see what I need to see when I need to see it. And we can give, there's a fine line where this becomes paranoia. Like right now, I just pulled into a parking lot. I gave it a good glance when I came in. Vehicle's still locked. Somebody's not going to come walk up. I can see in my mirrors where I chose to park. Now we're coming more into the pragmatic viewpoint rather than this broad stratosphere level view. I can see 360 degrees where I'm at here. I can see at least the farthest somebody could be hiding from me is probably 75 feet. There's a fence and a brick wall right there that somebody could prop out 50, 70 feet. So where I'm at right now is, a little quote from Steinbeck there, huh? Where I'm at right now, I can see 360. I've got my mirrors that give me behind me. I've got peripheral and all of my frontal. I'm not freaked out about it, but if I saw some dude in this empty parking lot beelining to my truck, which is the only vehicle, I wouldn't do anything but just go like this. Man, what the hell is this guy up to? Just gonna move to another space. Cool, right? Not a big deal. Don't freak out that I don't have my seatbelt on. I'm in a parking lot. I'm just going to move to another space for the point of what I was just explaining to you. So that's super chill, as they say, right? So right here is an even better spot. Now there's nobody's moving out of the shadows into my line of sight unless they're 150 feet. So basically, there's a lot of open ground. Well, that doesn't protect you if somebody wants to snipe you. Yeah, I'm pretty confident where I'm at that there's nobody like proned out with a rifle trying to murder me. So you got to kind of understand where you're at. Are you in a war zone or some area where you don't belong, or where your kind maybe would be picked out? I'm in my hometown right now. I am feeling reasonably safe and comfortable here. So we got to stop that. We have to be cautious of not going into paranoid mode. The other thing about being paranoid, your behavior may very well cause somebody to key into you. What the hell's that guy doing? He looks scary. He looks like the guy that potentially could become or be a threat. Well, I don't want that either. I want to kind of just blend in, do my thing, and go about my business. So that's my food for thought for you today. What are you paying attention to? Understand that by paying attention, there must be a trade-off. The trade-off being, just like currency, you are taking something of value and trading it for something else that has value. When I am paying attention, I am taking part of my ability to gather information, I am taking my time, and I am trading it for information. I'm trading it for data. You get it? That data could be a lesson plan. It could be a textbook. It could be a movie or TV. It could be me looking at what's going on around me. Somebody commented about don't dress like you're Johnny Tactical. Sometimes I like to, I've had a lot of discussions about that over the years with people. The one thing I will say that's kind of interesting about that is a lot of people that pay attention to that are policemen. So policemen will tell you they can see a good concealed carry kind of guy. Good meaning like that's a good guy. They see the flashlight in his pocket. They see the hump of the appendix or 5 o'clock inside the waistband holster. They see the tactical clothing on him. Not bad if a cop knows that. So we automatically, there's this dialogue that every bad guy sees that and he's going to shoot you first. There's not a lot of data that supports that. The other thing is, like, I don't pay attention to professional sports. If you told me, hey, what Major League Football team has colors that are purple and white? Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that that's the Minnesota Vikings because a friend of mine is a Vikings fan and he has a jersey. But I wouldn't know, like, I wouldn't, like, that doesn't just come to mind if I didn't just recently see my friend's jersey. So a lot of criminals or other people, they're not looking at that kind of shit. Some of them are, but really what people are looking at is body language. They're looking at things like how one carries themselves. Is the person paying attention? Are they an easy target? Is that, think about this. If you were to step outside of yourself, here's what I'm going to leave you with this about paying attention. If somebody paid attention to you, if you stepped outside of yourself and you saw you and you needed to eat, you needed to get money to buy drugs or food, or you had to pay a gambling debt, or you're just a sick son of a bitch, if you step back and you saw you walking, would you rob you? Would you look at you and think, I can take that mother effer with a high probability of not getting hurt? Because that's part of the equation. Bad guys are not looking for somebody with fangs that are going to chew them up. Is that the kind of person right there? Is that woman, is that man the kind of person that I can pounce on, take their shit, maybe even take their life, and walk away without injury? And so that's sometimes a hard thing to ask ourselves. And you know what? The most interesting, my opinion, which is validated by many people much smarter than I, my opinion is that starts with how you believe about how you face the world, how you believe you can impact the world, how you believe you would fare in a violent encounter. If you truly don't believe that you would do well if some thug walked up to you on the street and accosted you, your body language says that. If you in your inner heart don't see yourself as a fit, able-bodied man or woman, people see that. It comes through in your body language. It comes through in your demeanor. It comes through in your eyes, the way that they shift about. Begin to believe in yourself. Begin to program yourself through the words that you speak with your mouth, through the things that you allow into your ears, through the people that you surround yourself with, that you are a man or a woman of character and honor, that you go about your day with purpose, that you inject good into the world around you, that you are the kind of person that does not seek evil, but you seek to do good. But if evil visits you, you will do whatever is required to stop that evil from causing damage or injury to innocent life. That you have a heart full of courage, and that you are the kind of person that shows up every night home at the end of the day, because there's not somebody out there that's going to take your sacred life away from you. You say these things to yourself. You believe these things after you begin to speak them to yourself, after you begin to apply action to those thoughts. If you think that's corny, go do some research on the way that the human mind and the subconscious really works. I'm going to end with that. You guys have a good day. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I please ask you to do so. Share it with your friends. This stuff is not just like Mickey-isms. These are truths that supersede time and space. I enjoy sharing them with you. I enjoy sharing the things that I have learned the hard way through making massive amounts of mistakes in life. Love you. Love your family. Be good.